Hello YouTube, what's up? I'm Anna, and today I'm doing quarterly TV and movie wrap-up. I want this to be like primarily a platform where I talk about books, to talk about Star Wars novels specifically that I've read, but that's not gonna work out for me because I really like TV and I watch a lot of it. So I thought maybe like every 3 months I'd just update you because you obviously really care. So this is going from the very end of 2018 to today, March 31st. This should be up sometime after March 31st. That's why my hair always looks bad, because I don't really brush it. The first thing I want to talk about is Drunk Shakespeare, which I went to go see in New York with my 3 roommates and my best friend. This is a show that they have in New York. I believe it's still running. It's on a limited run, but they also have a kids version called Drunk Shakespeare. And this has been on my radar for about 5 years, but I had to wait until I turned 21, but I also had to wait for my best friend to turn 21 before we could go see it together. It was really funny. They did Macbeth, and basically the premise of it is they do Shakespeare, but one actor gets really drunk. It reminded me a lot of the way that Do Shakespeare Company does Shakespeare. They did like an elongated version of Macbeth that felt very Reduced Shakespeare Company to me. You can go get the chance to go see Drunk Shakespeare because you like Shakespeare. I would definitely recommend it. Very fun. I would 10 out of 10 go again. The next movie I watched was Pacific Rim. I guess it's about aliens coming out of the Pacific Ocean. The human race has to learn how to fight them, and I just thought it was a good movie overall. Heartwarming science fiction, and I'm not usually a science fiction person, so I was really excited to really enjoy a science fiction movie for once in my life. Then I watched Solo, which I made a whole video about. Solo is of course the Han Solo anthology film, which I really enjoyed. You can watch the video here, I'll put it in the cards. I just really like Han Solo because he really wants everybody to think he's a roguish, smuggler, bad guy, but he's a nice man. Then I watched The Phantom Menace. I also really enjoyed The Phantom Menace. I just think The Phantom Menace is a neat film because it fully embraces what Star Wars is, which is a child's movie. Then I watched Dumplin', which came out on Netflix at the beginning of December, I think, and I got around to it the end of January. Dumplin' is about this girl, and her mom is Jennifer Aniston, runs the beauty pageant, and Dumplin' wants to enter it just to kind of prove to her mom that her mom doesn't care about her, like very spiteful intentions. It was just like a feel-good movie about a couple of teenage girls just really finding themselves and finding themselves beautiful. But I thought it was really good because it was it felt very grounded. I think I'll probably watch it again, honestly. I really liked it, and it made me feel lots of things. I watched Attack of the Clones, which you probably know because I did a whole video, which you can also watch here. My favorite Star Wars movie. I just think it's got a lot of heart, and it tells a really interesting story in a very interesting style. Then I watched Star Wars The Clone Wars, the one that came out in 2008, which I also really enjoy. Some people think it's silly. I really like it. I just think it's a fun movie and entry into the Star Wars universe. If you like Star Wars and you want to expand the EU, I think The Clone Wars is a good place to start, and I think that the Clone Wars movie is a really good place to start, and also I think it's only on Netflix until April 7th. I watched a bad movie, and that movie is Little Italy, which is starring Hayden Christensen and Emma Roberts. It follows them, and they are from 2 feuding families. Their families own feuding pizza shops. I guess it's kind of Romeo and Juliet-esque, but the whole thing's really lazy. It was just really lazy and kind of offensive, honestly, for multiple reasons. Really did hate him really dirty, and I'm mad about it because I love Hayden Christensen, and he doesn't deserve that. And then I watched Much Ado About Nothing that came out in 1993, directed by Kenneth Branagh. He is a whole lot. I did see his Hamlet, I really liked that, and I didn't really like his Benedict. I just thought it was a lot. Like, I liked it, but I thought he was a lot in that role, and maybe, I don't know, Benedict is a lot, but I think he could be a little bit more grounded. There's a lot about it that I found really weird. I think one thing I found really strange about it was the ending. I think a lot of the criticisms of it was that it was trying to be that feminist reading on Much Ado, which is a little hard to do anyway, and then it kind of set it up really well and then dropped the ball, because if you're familiar with what Much Ado About Nothing, hero dies to fake her own death because she is believed to have been cheating on Claudia. Seen talking with another man in her bedchamber, but it wasn't her. Claudio saw this and he confronts her at their wedding and she faints, and Beatrice has this really interesting speech where she asks Benedict to kill Claudio to avenge her cousin hero. Beatrice doesn't have that ability to, she can't set things right for her cousin on her cousin's behalf because she's a woman. And that's a really interesting thing in Beatrice. Like lots of Shakespearean women she's a really interesting character who is silenced like a lot of women in Shakespeare's comedies by the end of the play. But you can kind of mitigate this a little bit by ending the production a lot sooner than this one ended. So I think one problem that I had was it went on for a really long time after Beatrice was silenced. It happens in a lot of plays of Shakespeare's comedies is that in the last act women don't get the last word and they are silenced once they're paired off. And this one's really explicit in that, not this production but this play. Much Ado is really explicit in that because Benedict tells Beatrice that he's gonna kiss her and she's not gonna talk anymore, and then she doesn't. And there's like a good chunk of dialogue that still exists at the end of the play, but the play's pretty much over. But the movie went on for about 15 minutes, I think. It would be one thing to point out this thing that happens in a lot of Shakespeare comedies, but they didn't really do anything with it. It just made Beatrice feel like she'd been silenced. I watched Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, and Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, which I feel like the problem I have with Harry Potter is that I've seen it so many times. It is never a movie I want to watch, and I never think about it as something that I really like anymore. But I do really like Harry Potter. I was watching Harry Potter in like November, third one, and I remember thinking like how much more it means to me that Harry can conjure that Patronus at the end that it meant to me when I was 11 or 12. I have seen the movies a bunch of times since I've been 11 or 12, but I haven't read the book since I've been like 10 or 11. So I think I'm gonna try to read them this summer, and I'm so excited to read them again. I miss loving a book as much as I loved Harry Potter. I'm gonna transition to some TV shows, and I've watched many of them since the beginning of the year, and I'm just gonna do this as quick as possible. If there's a couple that I spend a little bit more time on, well, I'll do it. But the first version of this video where I talked about significantly fewer things was like an hour of footage. So the first TV show that I finished, I think, was Letterkenny. As far as I know, I'm up to date on Letterkenny. Letterkenny is about these Canadian people, these people who live in a tiny rural town in Canada, Letterkenny, and it just kind of follows them. I feel like it's kind of hard to explain, except that it's a Shakespearean comedy that takes place in contemporary rural Canada, and I say that in all earnest. What made me realize it was one of their season premieres. They have like cold opens, and in 2 or 3 of them they go through the whole alphabet, and they just have an entire conversation with every word starting with one letter of the alphabet. Besides the word games, also a lot of their side stories really feel like, oh no. Sorry, my roommate came back from St. Louis from the Sigma Tau Delta convention. She won something. I'm very proud of her. Saying that Letterkenny was like in the way that the stories are. They're mostly like little vignettes of different characters in it. Remind me a lot of the way that some of the side stories are in Shakespearean comedies, and also I feel like it's going to have a kind of Shakespearean comedy resolution in that I think all the characters are moving towards getting paired off. I just really like it. I feel very warmly towards the characters in Letterkenny, and I think everyone should go watch it. It is on Hulu in the US. So if you have a Hulu subscription, you can watch all of Letterkenny. Then I watched You, which is that show that I think was on Lifetime but now is on Netflix. It is about Joe, who's creepy, and Beck, who is a dumb MFA student who didn't deserve to get murdered. That's technically a spoiler, but whatever. I really liked You. I thought it was pretty compelling. I really felt like Beck was living my dream life, getting murdered by her boyfriend included. I probably shouldn't say those things on the internet. It's obviously a joke. Then I watched the Clone Wars miniseries, which ran from 2003 to 2005. I had believed that I didn't like this one as much as I liked the other Clone Wars series, but I was wrong. I really enjoy it. I think it's very fun and very cute, and it's very stylistic in a way that's good. I guess I used to think it was stylistic in a way that was bad. Not in a way that was bad, but in a way that I didn't like, because I didn't like that style of cartoons growing up. They made me very uncomfortable. But I really liked it this time around, so I'm very happy. I really liked Anakin in this one. He sometimes tends to be a little too macho in the other Clone Wars series, which is a complaint that I understand and sympathize with. I just don't think it's, I don't think it takes, like, I think it's just a different imagining of his character that I think is as perfectly valid, but I just happen to really like the soft-spoken. I thought he was really brash and stupid and young, and my heart hurts for him all the time. I'm always hurting about Anakin. You know, it was good. It was a good imagining or interpretation of his character that I really appreciated and liked. Then I watched The Umbrella Academy. That is also on Netflix. It is based on a graphic novel by Gerard Way and Gabriel Ba. It's basically about a group of super children who were adopted and raised by an eccentric billionaire, and now they are adults who don't know anything about anything at all, and I love them all very much. They have to stop the apocalypse because their one time traveling brother has traveled back in time because he found out that the apocalypse was going to happen, and basically they also caused the apocalypse, which is my favorite trope, I'm gonna be honest. And I really liked it. I liked their really somehow very normal sibling dynamic. I liked all of the characters. I thought every single one of them was sympathetic, and I understood why they all acted the way they did. The story and the aesthetics of the show were really cool. I didn't like how Luther wanted to kiss his sister, and how for some reason Allison also still wanted to kiss him also. That was weird. But other than that, I really liked it. My favorite character is Diego. He's a lot, and I love him, and he's very stupid. Then I finished the originals. I started watching the originals again for like the 4th time through in November, December, because I love it. I love the originals. It's my favorite show of all time. I will be starting a Vampire Diaries themed podcast or something very similar pretty soon. I just really love the originals. I think it takes itself seriously enough to produce quality story, but it doesn't take itself too seriously because it's still part of the Vampire Diaries universe. I just think that the concept of it is very funny. If you don't know what the originals is about, the originals is the spin-off of the Vampire Diaries, which I'm sure you know something about. But basically one of the villains from the Vampire Diaries leaves the cast of the Vampire Diaries, leaves Mystic Falls, Virginia, to go to New Orleans because he believes that somebody is conspiring against him. When he gets there, he realizes that he has knocked up some werewolf girl. He now has to contemplate being a father, and I think the concept of that is so funny and so right up my alley. I really like Klaus as a character. I never felt like that part of the show didn't deliver. Klaus's redemption didn't deliver. The way that they executed it was a little off for me. The way that Legacies is handling that, a little off for me. But overall, I am in love with the originals and all of the characters on the originals. I have so much to say about it that I'm glad that I started this YouTube channel where nobody can hear me because so much to say about Klaus. Then I finished Psych. I only had about 6 episodes left at the beginning of the year because I started watching it 2 years ago. I started rewatching it 2 years ago. I've seen all of Psych. I really like Psych. I think it's just a funny show. It's about a fake psychic detective, and he is also a man-child. He's also very smart, and I do think that my one criticism of later seasons of Psych is that they kind of make Sean into more of an idiot than he is, and I don't like that at all. But in those moments where they wanted to have emotional or serious moments, you really see how reflective and smart he really can be. Anyway, Psych is really good. It's on Amazon Prime, so if you have Amazon Prime and you haven't seen Psych, even though it's the year 2019, get on it. Then I finished the episodes of Arrested Development. I think season 5B dropped when I was on spring break. I didn't like it. It wasn't that I didn't think it was funny, it was just that season 4 with the longer episodes was very confusing, and then with the recuts of season 4 made it more confusing somehow, and it just never lived up to the first 3 seasons. But, you know, whatever. I don't know. I feel like I would have enjoyed it a lot more if I knew what was going on. And then I watched Gallivant, which is a musical comedy, very lighthearted, about Gallivant, who's a knight who is on a quest, as knights do, because knights, you know, they gotta go on quests, and he falls in love with his lady, Isabella. And that's basically it. It's not really, there's nothing really to it. I just thought it was kind of a funny and light show, and it's something very easily digestible because I think it's like 20 episodes, maybe 30 or 40, but I don't think there's 40, and they're all like 25 minutes long, so you can watch Gallivant. And if you haven't, and I probably will watch it again, I think I've watched it 3 times. And then I finished Legacies. Legacies just ended their first season in a way that upset me a lot. Legacies is the spin-off of the originals. So the originals is the spin-off of the Vampire Diaries, and Legacies is just, we're gonna stop calling it a spin-off. We're gonna call it just the expanded universe of the Vampire Diaries, and it follows the children of the characters from the Vampire Diaries. So it follows Klaus's daughter Hope and Caroline and Alaric's children, Jesus Christ. And their names are Josie and Lizzie. They're at high school. Towards the end of the Vampire Diaries, Alaric founded a school for supernatural children so that they wouldn't become maladjusted and destroy things. He realized that teaching children the correct way to adjust and use their powers was the best way. So he has this school. Hope's been going into it for almost her whole life. She started there when she was 7. Obviously, Alaric's kids, Josie and Lizzie, have been attending the Salvatore School for the Young and the Gifted. And it's just basically, what I thought I was signing up for was the Vampire Diaries Part 2, but like at Hogwarts, like the Vampire Diaries, but they go to a boarding school now, and Alaric was there. And I know like there's some mixed opinions about Alaric, but I like him. And the first couple episodes was that kind of, and I was really excited to see what they would do with Hope, because I really liked her character in I liked her character in spite of everything in the last season of the originals. And I overall feel pretty good about Legacies. I have a couple of questions, but I feel pretty good. Maybe give it a try if you're really into the originals, or the Vampire Diaries, but I don't know, it's just like an okay show otherwise. I'm gonna talk about it for a little bit more. So if you watched this video and you could hear me, I would appreciate it if you would like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. And if you want to continue to hear about the finale, spoilers for this first season of Legacies, because I just want to rant about it for just like a hot second. But otherwise, I'll see you very soon, because I have a couple of other videos I want to put up very soon. Legacies does basically do the Vampire Diaries, but at a boarding school, and lots of like ridiculous romance. Josie is bisexual, I think. They haven't said the word, but you know, she's interested in women, but she also seems to be interested in men. And Lizzie is mentally ill, but it's hard to say whether that's related to her magic. And Hope's there, and Hope has had a lot of trauma, but there's a 2-year time skip from the finale of the originals to the premiere of Legacies. Okay, so she's had a little bit of time to process this. She's not 15, almost 16, she's 17, almost 18. The problem I have with the concept of Legacies, not the concept of Legacies, with the initial execution of Legacies before I'd seen a single episode, was some of the choices that they made, a la Klaus's death at the end of the originals, was for Legacies. For the purpose of Legacies, they didn't consider anything else. They just wanted a way that they could write episodes for Hope in Legacies that would be good for her to explore. Basically, she's got a lot of man pain, but she's a woman, so it's kind of weird. But also that because Joseph Morgan and Daniel Gillies didn't want to come back, they wanted an avenue where they wouldn't feel pressured to bring them back because they were dead. I have a couple of problems with the way a lot of Hope's story is executed, that she really has to rely on the support systems that she has at the school and not so much the support systems that still exist for her at home. Rebecca's still alive, Freya's still alive, she does call Freya at some point. But she also has a pack of the Crescent Wolves, and she was really close with Marcel and Cole, closer with Marcel and Cole than she was with her father at the beginning of season 5. It's not like Hope is orphaned and has no support system at all. She still has a lot of family. They don't do enough with her as a wolf, which is a complaint I'm probably always going to have. And Roman came back, and it was really weird. He came back for about 2 episodes. If you don't remember, Roman is the vampire that inadvertently got Haley killed, and it was really weird that they kind of didn't do a lot with it. They've done a couple of things really well also. I think when they focus on just being a teen show with and for and about teens, their episodes are pretty strong. Their mythology is, of course, all over the place. All of it is so insane. I don't really have a lot to elaborate on without making this like an hour-long video, and it's probably gonna be like an hour anyway. The 2 episodes that I thought were really well done were episodes 13 and 14, I think, were really, really good. I really liked them. I thought the Miss Mystic episode was really good, which continues the Vampire Diaries tradition of my favorite episodes being Miss Mystic episodes. Hope wearing the dress that Klaus got for Caroline meant a lot to me, and it obviously meant a lot to Hope. And you know, just the whole thing was it was really moving, really getting Hope to process the trauma that was accidentally getting both of your parents killed. And to doing that in a really nuanced way, being a little bit completely peeved about the finale. And I wasn't going to talk about Legacies at all, but I watched the finale, and I am very peeved about the finale. Hope sacrificed herself, and nobody remembers her. Basically, if you've been watching Legacies, the villain is a golem who erases monsters. It wouldn't really work on Hope normally, but she sacrificed herself because she is, of course, a tribrid, and the golem was created by a vampire, witch, and a werewolf. As a tribrid, Hope is all of those things, so she can destroy it. She realizes her cosmic purpose is to destroy the golem, is to destroy Malivore, and sacrifices herself to do that. So basically, like, one thing, that's pretty cool. That's like a pretty neat ending. I guess if she wasn't 17 years old, I would be okay with that. Okay, but more better, also if she was a character that was created for Legacies, I think I would feel a lot better about this ending, especially since she's the main character. I know she's coming back. On the other hand, I felt like the originals always did a good job impressing upon us that Hope didn't have a cosmic purpose. Her cosmic purpose was to redeem Klaus, but that was really more of her narrative purpose than her cosmic purpose. Her cosmic purpose was the same as everybody else's, to be alive. It's not a mistake, she's just a loophole. And this loophole was narratively to show Klaus that he is capable of not just destruction, but of creating life and being gentle and embracing that wolf part of himself that allows him to be connected to people and, you know, be a father. And as much as the originals didn't want Klaus and Hope to ever interact, for some reason, they never went away from that. Hope said she understands why her father sacrificed himself for her. I'm imagining Klaus in wherever he is, so angry, absolutely not willing for that to be Hope's fate. Like, obviously would rather the whole world explode than Hope sacrifice herself 2 years after he sacrificed himself for her. Just the whole thing was really funny. Like, obviously Klaus would be fucking pissed. Second of all, Hope's, as I've mentioned, has a lot of family left, and she meant everything to all of them. She meant everything to Rebecca, and she meant a lot to Cole and to Marcel and Freya Hope made this sacrifice, and it kind of took away a lot of the work that was done in the originals, which was already kind of undone with their own finale. And it's really frustrating to see a show in a different show like just negate a lot of the emotional labor that was done in a different show. That's really frustrating. It's really frustrating because basically like they all the originals went through so much for Hope, and I can't even imagine what they must be going through, because even though they don't remember Hope, it's a loss. That's crushing me, honestly. Anyway, that's why I'm going to start a whole podcast about it, because I just spent 15 to 20 minutes telling you about a show I know you haven't watched. If you have watched Legacies, I would love to hear your opinions about it. I really am going to start an Originals Vampire Diaries podcast, because podcast, video series, it doesn't matter, because I have a lot to say about the Vampire Diaries and the originals, mostly the originals, and I really like it a lot. If you made it to the end of this video, I would like to thank you again for watching, and we'll see you very soon. Goodbye.